The call to the Pentagon wasn't supposed to get anyone's attention. It was just routine. But by the end of that day, 2 careers had ended, a small town's name was all over the news for the wrong reasons, and the country had learned a harsh lesson about making assumptions. General Ayanna Brooks had made the drive many times before, heading south on quiet Louisiana back roads where gas stations were rare and cell service came and went like morning mist. No black SUVs followed her, no Secret Service, no military escort, just a basic rental car, a duffel bag in the back seat, and a direct line to the Department of Defense. She wore jeans, worn-out sneakers, and a faded army cap pulled low over her brow. Sunlight broke through the trees, lighting her dark skin as she passed Lake Charles, getting closer to Barksdale Air Force Base. The meeting she was going to was top secret. She couldn't be late. She couldn't miss it. Then her secure satellite phone lost signal outside an old gas station with a flickering sign that said Dale's Fuel and Feed. She had to get it back fast. Ayanna pulled off the road and parked on the side of the building, away from the front entrance. A few locals in oil-stained hats leaned against dusty trucks, sipping sodas and talking in the heavy heat. Ayanna stepped out and held up her device, trying to get a better signal. "General Ayanna Brooks confirming identity," she said in a clear, steady voice. "Begin priority level briefing." Inside the store, behind a foggy window and rows of beef jerky, stood Nancy Lerman, late 50s, tight smile, a lifetime of suspicion written across her face. Nancy didn't see a high-ranking officer working on something important. She saw a black woman in casual clothes speaking into a device she didn't recognize. Her gut told her something was wrong. She grabbed the landline and called the Mosswood Police Department. "Yeah," she whispered. "There's someone strange out by the pumps. Might be scoping the place. Looks jumpy, maybe high. You should check it out." 2 officers got the call, Deputy Brad Kessler and Officer Clint Monroe. It had been a dull week. In Mosswood, even a little action was something they called prevention. No questions asked. They threw on sunglasses, jumped into their cruiser, and sped toward Dale's. Ayanna, still focused on her secure call, stayed calm. Important information was coming through the line. She scanned the area, alert but at ease, until red and blue lights lit up the glass. Tires squealed, gravel flew, the cruiser skidded to a stop. She lowered her phone, eyebrows knitting together. 2 officers stepped out, one stocky and red-faced, the other tall and jumpy, his fingers too close to his holster. "License and registration, now," Kessler barked. Ayanna took a steady breath. "I'm General Ayanna Brooks, U.S. Army. I'm on active duty. My ID is in my wallet." Monroe gave a mocking laugh. "A general? Dressed like this?" She slowly pulled out her wallet and handed over her military ID and travel orders. Kessler barely glanced at them before snarling, "This is fake. Try again." "I assure you, sir." "Shut it," Monroe snapped. People began to stop and watch. A few took out their phones to record. Still calm, Ayanna said, "Please contact your supervisor." "This is a serious mistake," Ayanna said, but instead of stopping, the handcuffs came out. "Turn around," Kessler ordered. "No," she replied firmly. "I'm a general in the United States Army. You are illegally detaining me." Monroe laughed. "Oh, sure, and I'm the Secretary of Defense." He grabbed her arm. Kessler twisted her wrist behind her back. The cuffs dug into her skin. Her secure phone slipped from her hand and hit the ground, cracking loudly, still connected. Inside the Pentagon, Lieutenant Commander Stephen Hale stared at the distorted audio feed. "General Brooks, do you copy?" Static. Then scuffling, a faint voice. Then silence. Colonel Marcia Devlin crossed the operations floor in a flash. "Trace her," she ordered. They locked in her location, Mosswood, not the base. That raised alarms. "Get Barksdale security on the line," Devlin barked. "Priority extraction, now." Back in Mosswood, Ayanna sat in the heat, handcuffed against the side wall of the gas station, sweat trailing down her back. "What's your real name?" Monroe sneered. "Who are you working for?" You have my ID, my travel orders, everything you need, she replied calmly. You're seconds away from obstruction, Kessler snapped. Then the police radio crackled. Unit 6, be advised. Subject is confirmed. Pentagon alert. Federal priority. Release immediately. Do not engage. Kessler's face went pale. Ayanna stayed silent. His hands fumbled with the key. He mumbled something as he unlocked the cuffs. Ayanna stood, flexing her wrists. Her phone lay shattered at her feet. You're going to regret this, she said, her voice low. A new convoy pulled in. Black SUVs, military plates. This time, it was serious. Barksdale's top security team stepped out, weapons holstered but alert. Leading them was Lieutenant Colonel Darren Shaw. General Brooks, are you hurt? Only insulted, she replied. He turned to the local officers. You are ordered to stand down. This is now a federal investigation. Kessler stammered. We didn't know who she was. You had her credentials, Shaw said flatly. You chose to ignore them. Monroe muttered. She looked suspicious. No, Shaw said. You saw a black woman using a device and assumed she was a threat. That decision will follow you. In the SUV, Ayanna said nothing for miles. Finally, Shaw spoke. The Department of Justice and Civil Rights Division are involved. This is going public. The world is watching. They should have been watching a long time ago, Ayanna murmured. By the time she reached Barksdale, the footage had already gone viral. Phone videos showed her calm, the officer's aggression, and a sharp divide in dignity. Commentators argued, but millions of people didn't need it explained. They saw it clearly. Chief Ronald Webb of Mosswood PD scrambled for damage control. It was a misunderstanding, he told reporters, sweat rolling under his too-tight collar. A misunderstanding with handcuffs? One journalist shot back. You couldn't verify a U.S. Army general? The officers were suspended. Investigations started. Old complaints resurfaced. Stories of profiling, excessive force, now under a national spotlight. Ayanna did interviews, gave briefings, but saved her real message for the public. That Saturday, she stood at a podium outside Barksdale's gates, her uniform crisp, her gaze unwavering. I am General Ayanna Brooks. I have served this country for nearly 30 years. She paused. Yesterday, none of that mattered. I was not treated with respect. I was not seen as a citizen. I was seen as a threat because of how I look, not what I did. Reporters wrote quickly, but Ayanna wasn't speaking to them. She was speaking to everyone who had felt that same sting of being misjudged. I'm not here for an apology, she said. I'm here because silence isn't an option. Dignity is not up for debate. Prejudice must be faced, not explained away. Behind the cameras stood veterans, mothers, students, some holding signs, others holding hope. Injustice isn't new, she said. But change starts when people stop looking away. She didn't wait for applause. She left the podium just as she arrived, unshaken. The country didn't change overnight. But something started. In courtrooms, in police stations, in schools, people studied that video and began asking tough questions. And in Mosswood, a quiet sign went up on the door of Dale's Fuel and Feed. We serve all with respect. No exceptions. Because Ayanna Brooks refused to be defined by anyone else's ignorance. And because she reminded the world, some truths need to be said out loud.